Hello everyone, GL2 here, and welcome to Old Military Toys Part 2. Now, today I have a bit of a mix of things, and I'm also going to try to shoot from two different angles. So I'm going to get this camera on here, and there we go. All right, so what I have here are some toys from the 80s and 70s. And the first thing you'll notice is this big aircraft carrier. Now, this aircraft carrier is from the Mattel's Flying Aces 1978 toy, and it was given to me as a gift from a friend I used to fix things for. Now, it did come with, more than one foam airplane, but he had one, and this was in a closet, and the plane fell somewhere, and I know it's in that closet, but I wasn't able to find it. But the way it would work is this strip here would wind back, and I think there was a rubber band on the bottom, and then there's like a little lever here, and it would release, and I think that would throw the plane up into the air, and because it's foam, it would kind of float. But this the gentleman that gave this to me was an older Filipino guy that was a really nice guy, and I'd go over there and I would adjust the timer on his lights for his plants. And one time I actually installed a whole fence in his backyard. So I did a lot of odd jobs for him to help him out. I pruned some trees, but one of the interesting things that he had a pool, a big in-ground pool. And he filled it with goldfish. And the goldfish just bred and bred and bred. And by the time I saw this, there were hundreds of goldfish in this pool. So that's just a little interesting aside. Actually, when I was installing that fence, another thing I'll never forget is I had to reach around a tree to kind of adjust the pole. And there was a yellow jacket nest there. And my right arm got stung a whole bunch of times and swelled up from the elbow on down really, really bad. And I actually couldn't work for several days, which is rare for me to ever have to take off from doing something like that. But them's the breaks, right? So those are my memories of this nice fellow that gave me his son's toy aircraft carrier. And I feel nice, good about sort of honoring him and, this toy and featuring it on the show. So I just wanted to say a little something about him. Now, the toys here don't all go together, but these little brown soldiers here, and they're two different browns. There's a darker brown and there's a lighter brown. And presumably they would be against each other. Though mold-wise, they're the same. And it also came with these two rocket launchers, and then these guys that would actually be, loading the rockets onto the launchers. And I'm going to show you some of that. It even came with some flag people. These white guys here came with some other set. I'm not sure what. I don't remember now. And these airplanes, the silver ones have the stars on them, and the green ones have a Nazi symbol on them. So these are World War II era toys. Those airplanes, though, did not come with these soldiers, but they do fit. They came with actually larger soldiers, like, the 2 or 3 inch ones, and really, so they're not even to scale. But let me go over some of these brown soldiers here. Now, these were given to me by my father, T-39, and they're from Italy. He brought them back to me, and they're like 40 years old, maybe a little less. But they're really neat. They're highly detailed, and here's an example of one. So here's a guy. He's got a parachute, and you can see the details on that. Editing this together is going to be really interesting. I haven't done this before. One of the neatest things are the motorcycle guys. So here's a motorcycle guy, and I want you to see that. He comes off. So he just sits there and rides on the motorcycle like that, okay? And then you have, you know, a guy that's, you know, shooting a machine gun low to the ground, hanging down low. And take a look at this. Here's a guy with a, he's got a dog, probably a German Shepherd. And you can see his hat. You can see the details on these little toys here. You even have guys with, let's say, like a shield. And I think he had a baton in his hand, but the batons kind of broke off. I mean, they are almost 40 years old. But I think I have one that actually has a baton. Let's see. I think there's this guy. Yeah, this guy, look, he has a baton still. Okay. So one of the guys, 1 out of 4, still has a baton. I just pretend the other guys, I guess, are, you know, have a fist or something. You have a bazooka, a guy with a bazooka. Let's see where the bazooka got. Ah, here we go. Bazooka. All right. And you have your guys who are getting ready to get into the airplanes. So, you know, they're kind of to scale to those planes, so they go together in that, you know, close enough. And let's see, you have guys that are, I don't know, like fighting, mid-fighting. You know, see those guys up close. And you have a guy who's got a rope and a hook, and he's throwing that up. And, you know, you can pretend he's about to go climb something. He's sneaking, right? Just like the Golem. He's sneaky. Lord of the Rings reference. Then you have a guy over here. Maybe he's bringing the orders over, or pizza. So here's a guy, one of the gray guys. Pizza, anyone? And when we get to the rocket launchers, let me show you this. This is pretty neat. The rockets do come off. So here's the rocket launcher. And you had to put that together. It's got like little plastic pegs. It falls apart kind of easily too. But you could take the rockets off and pretend they're shooting. And you have like your radar up here, which swivels. And I don't really have any vehicles to tow it, but I guess you could pretend, you know, you're towing it with something. And then this is a neat thing. You have guys that are like carrying the rocket, and you can set them up so that they actually are holding the rocket off the ground. So it came with a couple of extra rockets. Here's the guy. So he's got his arms out, and you could take 2 guys, and I have 2, and they can both like support the rocket. You put 1 guy on each side of the rocket, and they can support it. So that's kind of a, you know, neat little thing there. You got your guy on the telephone because, you know, communications is key. So, you know, they had like shortwave, if I'm correct, I think they had shortwave radio phones, and they might have a specific frequency. So, you know, encoded, maybe so the enemy couldn't intercept it, but they could call ahead like, you know, hey, stuff's happening here, bomb here, you know, or we need help over here, you know. So you got your guy who can ask for help. Here's the little white guy here. See, he's holding up like, okay, land the plane here, you know. And then you have your gray guy, you have the guy with the flags. And he's like, okay, it's time to go. You can, you know, have the jet take off. So you got that. Let's see what else we have. Anything interesting? You got a guy with a knife. You always have to have a guy, you know, bringing a knife to a gunfight. So hopefully the other guy doesn't have a gun or things aren't going to go too well. But, you know, that's war, right? It's not very nice. And there is a flamethrower guy, because you got to have the guy with the flamethrower, you know, in case there's roaches or something. Right? So there he is, the guy with the flamethrower. And you can't really see a tank on the back of him, but, you know, like some of the larger army men, you can see actually they have a tank on the back. All right, so that's that. Now, back when I was playing with these, what I would do is I'd set them all up, you know, and I actually ordered, and I don't have any of them. In the back of comic books, you could order like a set of Revolutionary War characters, or in this case, there was one where it was like submarines and ships, and I ordered the whole set. It was like, I think they were, one side was blue and the other was gray, and they fired missiles, and I ordered the whole set, and I don't know what happened to it. So that's a big regret of mine that's gone. But I would set up these epic battles and strategize and everything, and it's probably like 7 to 10, even into my teens, I would do that with some of the larger army men. And these I got probably when I was around 13 to 15, something like that. And I'd play with them, and I took care of them all these years. So, but I had two guys that I don't know where they came from, but they're these little green army men. So here's a guy with a bazooka, and I actually colored some black onto him with a permanent marker. And I had a guy with a machine gun, and I colored his boots. And yeah, I tried to get some on the gun, and then I put a belt on him. Yeah, I did what I could, you know. But always the mascot. And again, this is another thing, I don't know where I got this, but I got this sometime in the 70s, and I'd been taking care of this little dinosaur. And actually, I don't think it's a dinosaur. I think it's before the dinosaurs. I think it goes back to the Permian period, and I think it's pre-dinosaur. It's sort of like a, you know, more swamp kind of creature. But he was always the mascot of, you know, the good guys. You know, of course, nothing would ever happen to him. But also, while I was playing with this, I had some tanks and some Matchbox cars. And then there was this tank. And maybe some of you recognize this. It has a real rubber tread on the bottom. And the way this worked is it had a little plastic, like a shaft on the bottom. And when it rolled, the shaft would hit a another piece up inside of it, and it would act like a trigger, and it would make the gun fire. And it would as you would roll it, the wheel would go around and hit like a catch. It would hit like another piece of plastic, and that would make the gun go in and out. And so it would be pop, 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 pop. I thought that was annoying because it would get stuck. The two pieces of plastic would kind of get stuck on each other, and it wouldn't roll that well. So I cut off that little piece of plastic that would make the gun go in and out. But it's got a spring, and you can hear it and see it going back in. So I ruined that. Now I wouldn't do that. But I did not ruin it on my favorite truck from back then, was this chunky fella. And I think I liked him because it looked like a cute big dog, like a bulldog. And this has those little, it has the little plastic piece in the bottom of the trigger. And when you would roll it, you see it would turn the radar as it rolls. The little trigger would hit another piece, and then it would, every time the wheel would go around, it would hit this thing and rotate the radar. But anyway, I like this truck. I always like this chunky. It's got 6 tires. They're big chunky tires. And I don't know. I just always thought it was cute. I always liked the Volkswagen Bug. And I don't know if any of you remember these, but these are really old. I think these go back to like the 60s. And I have more of these, but I painted this brown myself. And obviously it didn't stay on very well. But this was, you know, one of the cars that I would use in the battle scene there. Okay, my camera shut off there. All right, it's back on. Okay, so yeah, so this little car, you know, I don't know. I have to look up what these are, what they go to, but they're really old and they're kind of valuable. So these just hollowed out die-cast metal with tires. And then this one too, I would sometimes play with this, and this had like a gun turret. It's a half track. So, you know, it has wheels on the bottom. Tracks don't really move. And then here's a Jeep, because somebody's got to have a Jeep, right? So all of these Matchbox, these are all Matchbox actually. Although this one's Hot Wheels. Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, these are Matchbox. This one's Hot Wheels, and I'll have to look up what that is. But when I do the show on these cars, on more of them, I'll look that up again then. So also, T39 gave me this set, and I guess, I don't know why he had it. Maybe he was going to do a display or something because he builds models. But gave me this. This is from 1999, 150 pieces. And it just so turns out it's the same mold, because I went and I found the bazooka. It's the same mold for the bazooka and the same for this guy. But those I had at least 20 years before this. So, or maybe about 20 years. So anyway, sometimes they'll do that. They'll have a mold and then they just come out with the mold again. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. I'm going to take some pictures, close-ups, and put that in the video so you all can see all that. So thanks for watching, and GL1 out.